Welcome to this week's speaker's tip. The tip for this week is on gestures. Yes, gestures. We can always use gestures to help show what we mean and get people to think. I'm sure we've all seen gestures that are used very well. We've seen gestures that needed to be used that weren't used, and we've seen gestures that are overused to make a point when it actually distracts from what we're trying to say. But really the gesture I want to talk about today is one that is underused and I think a lot of times not used to a great detriment to the speaker, and that is the gesture of facial expressions. You know, when you're talking to someone in life, when they're telling a story, their eyes will dance and you'll get different expressions coming out of their face. Knowing your facial expressions and how to use them is something that really helps communicate to the audience. And I've seen so many speakers that get sort of in this serious, the stoic phase of trying to remember their speech, and they have these gestures, but their face is almost unmoving in the conversation. And that is really what the audience is looking at a lot, is your face. And so you can have great hand gestures, but what are your eyes? What's your brow telling them? You know, if you're frustrated, you have a tendency to crinkle your brow a little bit. If you're excited or something happens, your eyes pop open. You know, from that standpoint, I did an earlier tip on the importance of smiling when you're walking on stage. And this was something I saw when I would look at my videos. I would walk on stage with this straight face and I'd walk out and start my speech, but everything leading up to that looked like I was walking into a funeral. So I learned to start smiling when I came on the stage. A facial expression, facial gesture. So this is something I think that we need to, as speakers, look at. And what I recommend is do videos, shoot videos, see what your expressions are, see what they aren't, and see if there's something you can add into it to become a little more lively with your speaking. I have a couple examples just to show you how the facial expression plays into the speech. Two of them are from my speech and my world champion speech. I picked that because they were easy examples for me to pull up. And then I have another world champion I'm going to share with you. So let's just take a look at a couple facial expressions and how this can play into effective speaking. Okay. We're going to go, here we go.
And I walked over to the receptionist and said, "Excuse me, do you validate?" And she looked up and said, "Well, yes, I do. You have a lovely smile."
Okay, so you can see in that part, I was looking at the receptionist, I was asking her a question, and then when she said, "You have a lovely smile," I was like, what? Wrinkle my brow down. That was something I worked on from my videos. Okay. Take a look at another one here. Turn the volume up. Hopefully this one will be louder.
But I went in and I said, "You make friends faster than anybody I've ever seen." And that is a gift. To see their faces, I swear they got smarter right before my eyes.
Okay, so just a simple aspect of opening my eyes up and going, "I swear they got smarter right before my eyes," was a facial expression that showed the surprise that I had from how my roommates responded to my validation. Now let's take a look at Mark Brown. And there we go. I have to get here's Mark in his world champion speech. And I just picked a little segment here, but just watch his facial expressions and how his face communicates what he's saying to the audience as we just look at this short little clip.
Recently, my wife, Andrea, our 3 children and I sat down to watch a very important film, Beauty and the Beast. Oh, you've seen it? Then you know that this is a film you can't watch just once. Your children won't let you. I've seen it 13 times since last Monday.
Okay, we could go on and on with that. But you watch Mark's facial expressions. As he started, we sat down to watch a very important film, and his face looked very important. Then said, Beauty and the Beast, and he lit up. And then as he looked at the audience, he going, oh, you've seen it, as though there was a recognition. All this was coming through his facial expressions. So the tip today is just work on your facial expressions, and you can do what I did, watch videos of yourself, and see what you do and see what you don't do. What I was going to say, but also get excited about your speech. Have fun with your speech. Talk about, when you're talking about it, be animated with your speech, be alive on stage, and it comes out with your facial expressions. Have some fun with it. That's the tip for the day. And I'll see you next week.